Sergei, over here. Obviously, I believe you were preparing to be a backup for this card for Jon Jones-Stipe, but now you're fighting in the co-main event for an interim title. So I'm curious, can you walk us through the call when you got the call from the UFC, and what was the time frame of saying yes and them announcing the fight?
Yes, thank you, everyone. Nice to see everybody. Yes, I was training. This was my second practice in the day, and after the second practice, I went out to the park just to take a stroll. And my manager, Ali, called me, and he said, I got great news. Here it is. And I didn't think much. I just said yes.
Tom was in here, and he said he wasn't really in full camp. He was, helping teammates out, and he wished he had a full camp to prepare for you. So I'm curious, is it an advantage for you knowing that, yes, you weren't preparing to fight Tom specifically, but you were kind of going through a camp to prepare as a backup?
I don't think you can take an opponent lightly. I don't think I'm underestimating him in any way. We were prepared. We were prepared for anybody. We were prepared really hard. So everything's serious. Everything's 100%.
Did you have to change your camp much at all, or did you have even time to bring in new training partners or anything to prepare for someone like Tom?
Yeah, a couple of things did have to be adjusted, but when it comes to sparring partners, we have a lot of different people in the gym, so we had plenty of people that we could substitute.
Tom was in here, and he said that he doesn't think you've ever faced someone like him that has the same movement and speed as him. So I'm curious, when you look at Tom, what do you make of his skill set and the movement that he brings up?
I can say whatever you want, but we'll just see.
The final one for me, a lot of fans were very excited for Jon versus Stipe, but it seems the diehard fans are much more interested in your fight because you and Tom are on these long win streaks. You're relatively young in your career, and you're in the prime of your career. So I'm curious if that's reached you, the amount of interest that this fight specifically has brought against Tom.
I can't really tell you which fight the fans are more excited about, us or them, but the fact is I can tell you is this is going to be a really exciting, really fun fight because it's going to be a real war.
Sergey, over here. Before your last fight with Curtis Blades, there was a pretty viral video of you playing slots in a casino in Vegas before your fight that went around. Just kind of curious, are you a big gambler? Are you a slots guy? What's the story there?
No, that was my first time, so I'm not like a degenerate gambler or anything.
Yeah, did you win or did you lose?
First went up, and then everything that I got, lost all of it.
That's the story of it all, man. Appreciate it.
Tak всегда история была.
Sergey, back here. So who would you rather fight for the unification fight whenever that time comes, Jon Jones or Stipe Miocic?
To be honest, both of them are legends, so it doesn't matter to me.
And I asked this of your opponent earlier, Tom. Are you at all upset that Jon Jones didn't vacate the title and this is for interim, or it just doesn't matter?
For me, this is the legit title.
Sergey, at the back. Tom was in here earlier, and he's repeatedly called you the scariest guy in the division. I'm just wondering what you make of that characterization.
Спасибо ему.
Thank you very much, Tom.
And how would you describe him, one word?
Одним.
One word.
Я скажу пару. Крепкий парень.
I'll say a couple of words. Tough dude.
Thank you.
Sergey, back here. By the way, so you joined the ranks of like Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier, of great heavyweights that fought heavyweight championship fights in Madison Square Garden. How does it feel, and has it really set in yet?
I might be repeating myself, but I'll say it again. To get here, to be at the spot, there was a lot of work and a lot of steps were made to get here. So I think that I know where I'm at. I have a goal, and I'm going for that goal.
So Jon Jones is obviously going to be out probably for 8 months, maybe even longer, depending on the injury. But as the interim champion, if you win the championship, how often do you want to fight next year?
We have a saying in Russia that we don't divide the fur of a bear that hasn't been killed yet. So I'm one of those guys that doesn't do that. First, I got to get the title, then we'll think about it.
Thank you.
Sergey, back here on the left. You're on an amazing knockout streak, beating some big punchers like Derek Lewis and Tuivasa. Aspinall brings a different style. Can you just describe what makes him a tough challenge on the feet?
If you look, or if Tom looks at my previous opponents, they're all tough, durable, strong guys. And so I think now Tom is the next step in front of me. He's the next step that I have to take to get further there. So if you look at me, if you look at what I do, we do hard work, we train hard to make sure that we achieve that next goal.
And where do you think you have an advantage in this matchup, and what are the biggest keys for you to get the victory?
You know, it doesn't make sense for me to sit here and mince words and tell you what I'm going to do, what I'm not going to do. The only thing I can say is that I'm 100% prepared. I was prepared for the guys that are considered legends in the sport. So the only thing that separates me now is a little bit of time until we get there on Saturday. The cage will close behind me, and then we'll see what happens.
Sergey, a knockout win here would tie you with Chuck Liddell for the longest knockout streak in UFC history. What would that mean to you to match that record, and is that ultimately how you feel this fight ends?
You know, when it comes to the fight itself, there's going to be two big dudes, strong dudes that are going to be fighting each other. So we don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be a good fight. And then the fact that, you know, I'm tying a legend possibly on Saturday, well, that's great. That means that I'm achieving some other goals, some other goals that I set for myself, and, you know, putting myself in the ranks of the greatest.